You are listening to X-Wing Radio.
That's right. I'm David, that's Wesley, and this is X-Wing Radio, a weekly broadcast from a galaxy far, far away. So, Wesley, I did make sure to introduce ourselves, but as pointed out last week, maybe we need to do a better job of doing that. So,
Well, I mean, this is
I'm
on
Wesley.
you. So,
I'm saying Wesley.
it's your fault that you've never said that I'm actually David. David, did you not do that on purpose? Because it sounded like you were doing it on purpose. Did you legitimately just call yourself Wesley?
It's just that, and they clicked, I was like, wait, what?
You said it with such a straight face. I was like, there's no way he's like not joking about this. David.
Wow, okay, what an opening.
Alright, so obviously we don't need to do okay. You know what? Maybe we introduced ourselves enough. I don't know if like we need to talk more about ourselves, but I'm not entirely sure. But David is obviously off his rocker, off his meds. So maybe we just.
I'm just gonna chop it up to the fact that we're recording on a different day.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. We're messing up our recording schedule. So yeah. Anyways, David, today what are we talking about? This is something you've done more to bring up. So what are we talking about today?
So, Wesley, are you aware?
Builder, can we fix it? Bob the Builder, yes we can.
That's probably copywritten.
It's like a 40-year-old show. They probably already changed it too.
Yeah, probably. But were you aware that that's D23, Disney's expo where they show off a bunch of project stuff they've been working on? They announced Andor Season 2.
As in they're actually going to be doing it, or another one of those, hey, we're thinking about doing this, but it's probably never going to see the light of day like every other Star Wars project.
Very fair. They announced it. That's all we know. We don't have a release date yet. We don't have any plot leaks yet or anything. But
to be fair, with them saying that they're going to make a season 2, it's better than them saying they're going to start a show, because this already has, like, this is season 2. So I mean, I would assume that they're actually going to do it, because it's not a new show, and it's a show that did pretty well. So, but yeah,
sure, that was well received. For the people who actually watched it.
They need to market it better, but
market it better, and honestly, we already talked about Andor. Go back a couple weeks, but actually probably about 2 months at this point. But back in June we talked about Andor. If you want to know our thoughts on that, on Andor Season 1, we already talked about it. But basically, Season 1 was kind of slow starting out. Not kind of. It was really slow starting out, and that really hurt the show. Because a lot of people watched the first 2-3 episodes and couldn't get into it.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I had a little bit more, like, I started watching it at one point, and then I stopped because it was slow. And then, like, a couple months later, I had a lot of time on my hands to watch stuff, and I was like, I'm gonna finish it. And so I ended up finishing it, and it turned out to be like a really great show. But like, yeah, it has such a slow start. Now the good news is it doesn't have to be that way for season 2. So it might just be a thing that as they make season 2 is going to be a, hey, you have to get through season 1, but then you're good from there. So
So that specifically is not what we're talking about today. Because there hasn't been any plot links or any plot leaks or anything, I just can't talk today. All we have is the announcement. There's not really a whole lot to talk about for season 2 of the show wise. Today we're actually going to be doing what we've done with several characters and several things in the Star Wars universe before. We are going to be talking about character Cassian Andor. Now, one thing I do want to point out that's quite interesting with this character specifically, is I believe this is the first character that we have done this with that is a Disney original character.
I think so, yeah.
Because every other character we've talked about has either been Legends or a character from the Lucas era.
Essentially, all you're saying is that there's a canon side and a legend side to each character, but Cassian only has his canon side because he's been created under the Disney arc, so everything in his character is canonized.
Yep, there's no extra stuff. So,
Yeah,
with that,
I was gonna say something, but I can't remember what it was.
With that, where do you want to start?
What do you mean? What do you mean? I want
Well,
start?
we could start with the Wikipedia article. There's also an article on Stores.com about Cassian Andor. I don't really know what that's about. I also found one talking about possible stuff for the show for season 2, which we can get into. So where do you want to start? I did send you all those links. I emailed them to you.
Oh, you emailed them to me, so I shouldn't be checking my. Well, I can check it on my phone, but I gotta pull up my email, David. Like this is. Should have told me beforehand. I didn't know.
Okay, we're trying to be professional here, okay? I mean, in the professional world, people use emails.
To be fair, you didn't tell me about this beforehand, though. So that's unprofessional. Unprofessional. I don't really care, David. While I'm pulling this up, you can figure out what you want to talk about first. But I do want to say when they started, like when Rogue One came out, and I think when Rogue One came out, there were already talks about them making a Han Solo movie. But looking at it from this standpoint now, where we have both Cassian Andor is essentially the young Han Solo that we never got. I don't know if obviously he wouldn't have worked as Han Solo if they did a young Han Solo for it. But he plays the style. Cassian Andor is a, in some sense, and it's hard. It's kind of weird to say it like this. In some sense, he's a ruler, less by the rules version of Han Solo. And I say that about Han Solo, who is a smuggler and bounty hunter. Well, I don't know if he was a bounty hunter specifically, but he's not exactly the best person out there. But Andor is a little more loose with the rules, but they're kind of cut from the same cloth. They're stylized, very similar. He's the Han Solo for the Disney era of Star Wars.
Try to make it work with Poe Dameron, but Cassian fits that more.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just because, honestly, Disney wasted Poe Dameron.
Yes.
But
they wasted that entire cast.
Yeah, definitely.
Having a problem. Oh no, I found it. Here we go. I was trying to figure out where my emails were.
There you go to, you open Chrome and go to Gmail and
shut up. It's not that simple. That's why I was having an issue.
Well, at least I assume you would go to Gmail because I sent it to your Gmail. So, well, let's go ahead and just start with the Wikipedia article. And I've been trying to, whenever we talk, do a one of these to get better at enunciating when I say Wikipedia, because it's been pointed out to me that some of the earlier ones, when we say it kind of fast, and it sounds like we're just saying Wikipedia. It's
This
Wikipedia.
is the Star Wars
The Star Wars Wiki.
Wikipedia. If you don't know anything about this, just look up like Darth Vader or some other Star Wars character that you know, and usually the first article you come across is going to be from this website,
Yeah,
and then
it's
you'll
the
know what we're talking
the
about.
Fandom Wiki website, and it's Star Wars. The Star Wars Wiki is called Wikipedia. Most people probably already know that. In case you didn't, now you did.
Yeah.
Alright, so Cassian Andor. Did not know that was his middle name. He was a human male operative of the Rebel Alliance to restore the Republic. So, of the Alliance to restore the Republic, who was remembered as a hero after his sacrifice to secure the Galactic Empire's Death Star plans at the Battle of Scarif. An accomplished spy and assassin, Andor was well respected within the rebellion and was trusted with leading Alliance intelligence missions by Alliance High Command. Originally a canary boy named Cassa, the human was rescued from the Republic vessel that had crashed in his mid-rim home of Canary by smugglers, and Marva.
Marva?
Marva.
I mean, they call him Marv, so I'd assume it's Marva.
Cassian Andor prior to the Clone Wars. Thereafter, the boy was named Cassian Andor, given a forged identity as an individual born on the planet Cest, and settled with his adopted family, including a droid B2EMO on the free trade sector world Ferrex. Andor eventually made his way into the war against the Empire, working as a skilled spy, assassin, soldier, and pilot, operating many rebel missions with aliases such as Willix, Gareth, Lord, and the codename Fulcrum. Before officially joining the rebellion, for a period of time, he was a tourist on the planet Neamos using the alias Keith Girgo. So sometimes Star Wars names are just...
Most of the time, Star Wars names are a little weird.
Yeah. So that was the first two paragraphs of this. Basically just going over the basically what we learned about him in the Andor show.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like the next paragraph is about Rogue One. Actually, looks like the next little bit's about Rogue One. Well, let's read this little block here first, and then we'll get more into some other stuff. Part 1 BBY, Andor was captain for Alliance Intelligence and was assigned to assist in Operation Fracture to extract Imperial scientist Galen Erso responsible for the development of the Imperial plant-colored superweapon. Urso had also tasked cargo pilot Brody Rook with delivering a message about the weapon to renegade rebel leader Saw Gerrera on the moon Jeddah, Andor, alongside his droid companion K2SO, was Galen's daughter Jyn Erso, traveled to Jeddah City and made acquaintances of two local guardians of the Wills, Jarrett and Baze from Part 1. Together recovered Rook and Gerrera's enclave of rebel. Again, I can't read right now. Of rebel partisans, and Jyn Erso watched her father's holographic message about the superweapon named the Death Star. After narrowly escaping the test firing of the Death Star on Jeddah, the crew traveled to the planet Yedu, where Galen Erso was stationed at an Imperial laboratory. Andor was secretly instructed by the Alliance intelligence General
PD.
David Stratton to assassinate Galen Erso, and to that, the rebel operative kept his intentions to himself and lied to Jyn Erso that they would retrieve her father. So yeah, basically, like I said, this next little bit just goes through the plot of the of Rogue One, which I feel like most of what we know about the character is from the Andor show. So it's interesting that like the first bit of this article focuses so much on Rogue One. If you scroll down, there is a biography section, but still.
I must say, if you look through the rest of it, the thing about this character, especially with it being that this character is completely under Disney Star Wars, there's very little that's not part of the show. There's a little bit here that I see that's part of a comic, but it's basically like there's 2 paragraphs here where it's talking about how he meets K2SO, and it takes place after he joins up with the rebels here, and then it takes place right before the events of Rogue One. That's where they have it met up. As the character, we've seen his whole story, not his whole story, obviously, because they're about to start a season 2 of the show, and so we'll see more of his story. But we've seen everything there is to know about the character on screen up until this point.
But okay, the interesting thing about the Andor show, and this character specifically, is because we know where this character ends up. It's almost like that is almost this character's point, is to with the Death Star plans. That's that's where this character is going to end up, because that's where we see him end up, and it is an interesting way of you kind of have to get creative with the story, with the writing, to make it interesting, having a character that has to, or that dies at the end of their story, because you started with the end of their story.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's hard, like, not doing a linear storyline for a character. There's only so much you can do, like Cassian Andor is not going to lose a hand at some point in the story, or a leg. He's not going to go crippled. He's not going to lose an eye. He's not, going to get his voice box ripped out. There's a bunch of different things. Like, we know he's not going to die in any of these shows because he survives we know he's not going to get locked up in prison until the end of the Empire. Like we know a lot of things that the character is not going to have happen, but there still are certain things that they can play up
But
to have high stakes
but
for
that
certain things still.
that's the interesting thing about Andor, the show. So whether or not they continue this in season 2 or not is yet to be seen. They better to make season 2 interesting and watchable. But what made season 2 so good is that Andor is not the most interesting part of that show. Andor is kind of just Cassian's kind of just there. A lot of the story happens to him.
Yeah, he's kind of just in the story. Yeah, just kind of there.
The most interesting characters are the side characters that fit up. The most interesting plot points are the little glimpses we get to see of like imperial politics and the inner workings of the empire. That's what's the most interesting about that show. So it is interesting seeing something that's kind of different from the norm, but not necessarily in a bad way.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, with talking about that, I mean, there's really not a whole. I know, we wanted to kind of look over the Wikipedia article. There's really not that much to talk about within that. Do you want to jump over to talk about this article you have for Andor season 2? See what maybe there might be some thoughts or leaks or something pertaining to what the season 2 could go over and introduce some things.
So that's something why I found several articles. A lot of times, depending on the character, we could literally just stick with the Wikipedia article because some characters there is so much there. But for this, since it is a Disney original character, and everything we know about the character we've seen on screen or in some comic book or something, but there's not a whole lot to know about the character that we don't already know. Yeah, that's why I found some more articles. So, yeah. So this article is from Esquire.com. Let's see. It says Andor season 2, everything we know.
And just a brief overview. It goes down and says what could happen in Andor season 2, who will return for Andor season 2, and when will Andor season 2 debut. So that's kind of the parts of this that they kind of go over. They have an opening paragraph, and then they kind of dive into those 3 points in the rest of the paragraph here.
Well, do you want to go ahead and start reading this one?
Yeah. All right. So when Andor finally returns for a second season, the Star Wars prequel series will smuggle in some precious new cargo. Ben Mendelsohn's son, Ben over here, will reprise his role as Rogue One a Star Wars story villain, well, Krennic, alongside K2SO actor and Forrest Whitaker, Saw Gerrera. The reveal took place at Disney D23 celebration presentation over the weekend, which also premiered the first behind-the-scenes trailer exclusive for the audience in attendance. According to Andor star Diego Luna, the stakes are greater, quote, in season 2 as Cassian prepares to face the Empire. For many Star Wars fans, Andor's first season represents a compelling and human story about a franchise's galactic resistance movement, where the films were compl- complicated and massive in scope, Cassian Andor's story was much more scaled down. Audiences could also see the proof in viewership numbers compared to other Star Wars series. The show was quickly greenlit for another 12 episode long season before the premiere even aired. Now we're finally closer to season 2's debut. For everything we know about Andor season 2 so far, follow along below.
So
So before
just
we get to the rest of it below there, I kind of assume this would be where they go with it anyways. But I'm assuming, and they'll come up with some threat behind it. They'll come up with some overarching threat that they can deal with within a season timeline. But I'm assuming that we're going to get to see Cassian in his first days as a rebel. I mean, that's kind of how they ended it
because
in
he
season
wasn't
1.
really part of the Alliance while in season 1.
Yeah.
Um,
They kind of hinted at him joining it there at the end, and so I'm assuming we'll get to start to see him get to the point where we see him in
now,
Rogue One.
now, it is interesting too. So I know that's Ortiz Saw Gerrera, not Ortiz, he was in some of season 1, so that's not really that surprising he'd be in season 2. And possibly we might get to see more of the falling out that Saw Gerrera has with the Rebel Alliance. Because come Rogue One, Saw Gerrera is not really on best of terms with the Alliance.
Yeah.
So we might get to see that. It's interesting that they mention Orsa Krennic.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't have thought they would have gone there, because it's a little early for the Death Star stuff, but then again,
Yeah,
maybe not.
I think they need to go ahead and introduce his character into it. I mean, they even have him. Remember, when in the Bad Batch, they do mention Stardust, and you know, they show Krennic, and it's like, okay, here he is outside of just the one movie that we've seen him in so far. So I think bringing him in here and showing some of the stuff that he's doing, even if it's not, maybe if it's more of a cameo as opposed to like a prominent role, I still think is a good idea to bring the character. And also, it might just be a thing of having more recognizable faces.
Mm,
You know,
yeah. Also interesting. I mean, I kind of expected it to be in season 1, but seems to they're bringing in K2SO.
yeah. Well, you got the scene there when he does run into the correction officer droid or whatever, before he gets arrested. And I thought it was like, oh, is that K2SO? It's like, oh, actually, no, it's not. It's just, same model or whatever. But
Just an Imperial security droid, which
yeah,
it's kind of surprising how many there were like Fallen Order, and then there's not any. Or like
yeah.
2 or 3 ABY.
Problems with
I know.
the timeline of actual life, but yeah,
Yeah,
it does prevent some problems within the actual Star Wars timeline.
yeah, it's just kind of weird how much stuff they introduce before A New Hope that just randomly disappears in the Empire after. Which
Yeah,
maybe they're doing too much between episode 2 and 3, but
I think they are. Which is
that's
why
that's
last
that
week
point.
I said that. Which is why last week I said that they really need to just get away from the Skywalker saga era
Either
and
go
move
like
to something else.
so far in the future that none of the characters they have now would be around, or go really far in the past. That's what they need to do.
Yeah, I vote for the past, but I also don't want them to ruin it. So
Anyway, what could happen in Andor season 2? Andor Season 2 picks up as Cassian gathers his first makings of the Rebel Alliance. According to Luna, this second part will follow Cassian over the period of 4 years as he grows into the hero we see make the ultimate sacrifice in Rogue One. Through Andor in an original story for his character, the plot takes place smack dab in the middle of Star Wars lore. I still not understanding that sentence, but whatever. The events of Andor lead directly into Rogue One, the Rogue One prequel film, which takes place before the events of the original Star Wars film. In Rogue One, Cassian's team is instrumental in acquiring the Death Star plans that eventually get uploaded to R2-D2.
See, this is what I was. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to. There is more to this.
Yep.
Not to interrupt you too much, but this is the thing that I was thinking about here. Is like, obviously, there's only so many seasons they can make of this because, obviously, if this is going to be taking place over a 4-year period,
it's probably going to bridge the gap between Andor Season 1 and Rogue One.
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is, if it takes place over a large stint of time, that means that they could make more than a couple, more seasons, but they're not going to. They're just going to say season 2 is going to bridge the gap, as opposed to us making maybe another season after this,
which is probably for the best.
Yes, I'm not saying not saying it's a bad thing, because in all honesty, I like Star Wars, or I love Star Wars, and I like Star Wars content, but maybe less of it needs to be Disney. So, continue with what you're reading.
According to Kyle Solar, who plays Deputy Inspector Siren Karn, Disney is turning it up to 11 for Season 2. There's just more people, more planets, more worlds. He told Esquire, "There's an amazing storyline about this new group of people. Andor has already taken us to many worlds across the galaxy, including the free trade city of Ferrix, Cassian's homeworld of Mary, the astrological heist location of Aldhani, the Galactic Senate on Coruscant, and the prison complex on Rakina 5. Season 2 promises even more locations and interesting characters introduced after the time jump that places the series right before the events of Rogue One. What's amazing about dropping back in for this season is the time gaps that are going to be instituted to take you up the full 5 years before coming into Rogue One, and at the end, so revealed. So there's huge amounts of growth that's happening within the world of Andor, but also in Cyril's world and his tailoring. The last bit about tailoring was a joke, we think.
It's an interesting thing to add in.
Yeah, that's. Yeah, this is what you get when you don't read these articles before you actually read them on the podcast.
Yeah,
I just stumble through it, but.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and finish up. There's basically two more paragraphs, summing up who will return for Andor season 2 and when will it debut. Now they did mention at the beginning that the people who are coming back for Krennic, Saw Gerrera, and K2SO. That's essentially all of this they have here. Is they basically are just listing most of the cast. You got Cassian, you got Karn, you got Bix Kellen. Which one was that? Luthien. You got Luthien coming back. I don't
Yeah.
know who Callan is. Is that one of the? Is that one of the friends?
I
They got
can't remember.
Mothma. They got Saw Gerrera. And then they got K2SO. Yeah. That essentially that those are the people that they're saying are going to come back. The people you would expect to come back for Andor season 2. Now when will it debut? Although Andor creator Tony Gilroy originally announced at the Star Wars Celebration event in London that the show's second and final season will debut in August 2024. That's right now. Anyways, several factors pushed the release back. With a month left of filming in July 2023, with the Sega stuff, voting to begin the strike. Okay. Groy has also revealed. Oh, it says Andor season 2 will most likely premiere sometime in 2025. Gilroy also revealed last year that season 2 will mark the end for Andor, and his journey comes to an end once his story connects back to Rogue One. He stated that ending after season 2 was, quote, a decision born of survival, but it's been creatively potent. It's good to know there's an ending coming. Until then, don't think Disney is pumping the brakes on Star Wars content hitting our screens. Fans are still eagerly awaiting The Mandalorian and Grogu movie, Skeleton Crew, and whatever follows the Rosario.
Rosario.
Yeah. Ahsoka series. As Star Wars real life cinematic universe expands, so does the galaxy far, far away. Skeleton Crew is coming out soon, isn't it?
It's coming out
Jump.
sooner. I don't know when, but it is coming out sooner because there's already like teasers and stuff out for it. I think.
Yeah. Skeleton Crew. This says 2024, 2025. So is it coming out the end of the year? Let's see if we can find release dates. Release date December 3rd.
Okay. Into the year.
So this
Now,
end of this year, we're getting Skeleton Crew. I have not really seen the trailer. What little I've seen from the trailer, I'm gonna be honest, I could care less. But I'm sure we'll still watch it, and maybe it'll end
yeah.
up being good.
Now, it is interesting. This article does make a good point of, or well, I guess it was the director saying it's good to know the ending coming, and that
Yeah.
I feel like is one of the big problems with a lot of these shows is they make them and they leave it open, kind of open, like, oh, maybe it's done, maybe it's over, maybe we might make another season, depending if it does well. Just watch it, and then we'll decide later. That doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's that's how we've gotten so many shows like Kenobi. Everyone or not everyone, but there are a lot of people who are talking about Kenobi, wanting Kenobi to get a season 2 and it being better. That's not going to happen now because the first season didn't do well, so they're not going to make another season.
Even aside from that, like, don't try. Like, they've already stuffed so much into this time frame.
Yeah.
There's not supposed to be like Kenobi season 1. You can kind of turn a blind eye to the events happening between, right before A New Hope for Kenobi. But all in all, like, honestly, that should have never happened. He would not have left. Like, I understand why the reasonings they make in the show, he goes to protect Leia because, you know, that is another important child he still has some obligation to take care of. But it's he wouldn't have left. He wouldn't have left Tatooine. It'd be too risky. So, we have
It's like
Kenobi on the schedule somewhere down the road, so we are going to talk about that at some point. But yeah, there's no need for a
it's
season 2, despite the fact that it didn't do well.
it's like what Sam Witwer was talking about when he talks about um, the duel in Rebels, the Ben Kenobi small duel. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think one of his one podcast or something he was on. I don't remember. I've just seen clips from it. I don't know what it was from exactly, but he's talking about that duel, and he's like, Obi-Wan. Don't underestimate Obi-Wan because he's a Jedi Master on guard duty for the most important guard post in the galaxy.
Yeah.
So yeah, he wouldn't have left.
So, all right. Well, sticking back on topic because I didn't have any place to go. What's this last thing you have? You sent me a thing, but I don't think this is what we have. What do you have next, David?
So I'm gonna ask you about this. You sent me a Google Doc earlier, and it appears to be a script. What is
Yes.
this?
Yes. So, David, I was thinking of introducing a new segment to our show. Maybe something a little bit more entertaining than the sometimes more just, I say educational because we're more just talking about information. But something a little more entertaining. So I got ChatGPT to write me a script for us to talk about Cassian Andor.
Oh
Now
boy!
my pitches is that we introduce a new segment called ChatGPT Says, and we have to read the script that ChatGPT spits out. So, for those who are listening, if you enjoy this, let us know, and we might do it later. But yeah, so that's what this is, David. Um, and yeah, the thought is that we will just read this as it is, but add some life to it a little bit. Act like you're not reading a script.
Right. Okay. So, this is going to be very interesting. I can already tell you, just from
Yeah, so
the little bit I've seen ahead here.
I was about to say I've read through it, but David apparently has not. So this is going to be interesting to see him react to this for the first time. It is a very interesting script. Uh, so let us know. If y'all find this funny or
So
not. Yeah.
I can already say that this looks like it's trying to be a script for a podcast, like a whole
Yes.
podcast, but
Oh, it's not long enough to be a whole podcast, but I did
it's
tell
890 words.
Yeah, I did tell ChatGPT. I did tell. I did tell it to write a podcast script. So I told it that. So that's why I introduced it. So we have a new title for our podcast. It's called Star Wars Spotlight. So, anyways, and we do not have a sponsor, but we're about to say that we do.
What?
So that's all this
Okay,
added
this is going to get interesting. Okay.
This is all ChatGPT. Everything from here on out is written by ChatGPT. So we're going to read it.
All right. So, the podcast title: Star Wars Spotlight. Cassian Andor. Intro music fades in. Hey there, Star Wars fans! Welcome back to another episode of Star Wars Spotlight. where we dive deep into a galaxy far, far away. I am David, and with me, as always, is my co-host and fellow Star Wars fanatic, Wesley.
Hey, David, and hey, all you listeners out there. Today we are turning the spotlight on one of the coolest new characters from the Star Wars universe, Cassian Andor.
That's right, Cassian Andor, the man with the rebel with a cause, and probably the only guy who can make espionage look stylish. But first, let's remember to give a quick shout out to our sponsor. Remember, if you're looking to channel your inner rebel, there's no better way to our new line of Rebel Alliance apparel. Use discount code Spotlight20.
All right. Absolutely. Now, Cassian Andor, I gotta say, when he first appeared in Rogue One, he really made an impression. I mean, who knew spies could be so dashing?
Right? I didn't realize espionage required such a high level of fashion. I guess that's the real reason he was so good at his job. He was always 2 steps ahead and always had the best drink.
True. I'm sure his closet is just full of different shades of gray and black. Anyways, for those who might need a refresher, Cassian Andor is played by Diego Luna and is one of the main characters in Rogue One, a Star Wars story. He's an intelligence officer for the Rebel Alliance and has a knack for getting things done, no matter how dirty the job gets.
Yeah, he's the kind of guy who gets the job done and looks great while doing it. But let's not forget his backstory. In the series Andor, we get to see him from a younger perspective, back before he became the polished rebel we saw in Rogue One.
Absolutely. The Andor series really dives into his past, showing us how he evolved into the character we know. It's like watching a superhero origin story, but with more blasters and less spandex.
Yeah. I want to see his growth from a somewhat reluctant participant in the rebellion to a committed and passionate leader. It's kind of like he's going through a midlife crisis. With more pressure face and more convertible cars.
Exactly. And watching the show, I couldn't help but think about how he's basically like basically the James Bond of the Star Wars universe. He's got the gadgets, the secrets, and of course, the impeccable taste in suits.
Really, and let's not forget his interactions with other characters. I mean, his relation with K2SO is legendary. So you've got the classic grumpy robot and moody chicken.
Oh, K2SO. What a character. Their banter is like a comedy duo you didn't know you needed. I can just imagine Cassian trying to have a serious conversation and K2SO just start ruining the moment with his dry humor.
Yeah, like in Rogue One when K2SO says, "I'm not going to kill you. I'm going to let you die on your own." That's like K2SO. He's like the robot version of that one friend who always says what everyone else is thinking, but is way too honest about it.
Absolutely. And speaking of honesty, Cassian's character arc is all about finding his place in a galaxy that's constantly shifting. He's faced with tough decisions, and he doesn't always have a perfect answer. It's pretty refreshing to see a character who isn't just a flawless hero.
Yeah, he's definitely not a perfect hero, I mean, he's got his flaws, but that's what makes him so relatable. Plus, his journey is a reminder that sometimes the line between right and wrong isn't as clear as we'd like it to be. It's like trying to explain to someone why Wookiee is both a singular and a plural. It's not confusing.
Exactly. I was thinking about how Cassian's journey really mirrors some real world struggles. The fighting the fight against oppression, the sacrifices he makes for the greater good. He's a symbol to those real world issues, but with way cooler tech.
For sure. And if I could borrow his spice skills for just one day, I'd probably use it to sneak into a pizza place and grab some extra slices while no one was noticing.
Uh, Imagine Cassian Andor sneaking into a pizza joint, dodging laser beams to get to the last slice of pepperoni. Now that's a mission I'd watch.
Definitely. And on that note, I think we've given Cassian Andor his due. What a character. From his spy skills to his wardrobe. And of course, his epic mind.
Totally. And don't forget, folks, if you want to see more Cassian content, check out Andor on Disney Plus and be sure to tune in next time when we discuss another fan favorite character.
That's right. And as always, if you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, rate, review us on your favorite podcast platform. It really helps us out.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. May the Force be with you.
As always, see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere.
That wasn't actually this long. Signing off.
Yeah, that wasn't
That's
actually sound. So I don't know what his obsession was with his clothes and then where the pizza came from. But
it was trying to be like give us some like I don't know. It was trying to be witty, but it just I don't know.
yeah. I yeah. It was interesting. I thought it was kind of funny to read through. It more stupid than like outright like funny, but definitely interesting. It did have some things in there about Cassian, not just pizza and his wardrobe.
Mm-hmm. So that actually kind of reminds me because I I tried to find an article that talked about Cassian Andor or the Andor series or Rogue One on our favorite website, starships.com. Check it out if you haven't.
Be careful.
But they don't have. Yeah, be careful. It's like it's a blog, but if you just go back to any one of these episodes we've done, or we've done one of those, I think it was the Yoda one that we did back when we were still before we did the name change.
Yeah.
You'll see what we're talking about. Yeah. So I was looking for that. I couldn't find one. I don't have anything related to Andor. So I asked. I didn't realize you were going to do this, but I asked ChatGPT to give me an article about Cassian Andor.
Okay.
So let's see. It's not too long. So let's see if it's more or less factually accurate than what that was. Which that one wasn't necessarily factually inaccurate, but it was just
It didn't go
awkward.
over a lot of the actual character. It was a little
Yeah, so
awkward. Yeah. But
yes, let's see if this.
remember that episode we did like a year ago at this point. It was before we did the name change. And we were like looking up like I forget what it was, but we basically were seeing if ChatGPT was right, like new, like when it told us about certain people if it was actually right. We're like fact checking ChatGPT.
Yeah, I feel like that's almost what we're doing now.
I was about to say that's
Yeah.
kind of what it felt like here.
Yeah. But, well, that we were comparing ChatGPT to Wikipedia, which I'm not sure which one would actually be more reliable. In that case, honestly.
That's very true. Yeah, I don't know which one was more reliable there, but go
Yeah.
back and check
Anyway,
everyone out.
so the title of this ChatGPT article is Cassian Andor, the the rebellious spreadsheet master of the Star Wars universe.
Spreadsheet master. How do you get that title?
I have not read through this article, so let's see. Okay, this is definitely going to be interesting. Oh, if there's
You good?
okay, I can already tell you this is about to be like that original Starship article.
Okay.
If there's one thing the galaxy needs, it's a hero who can not only overthrow an evil empire, but also manage a killer Excel sheet.
What?
Enter Cassian Andor, the Rebel Alliance's secret weapon, and the only person in the Star Wars universe with a fully color-coded
A color-coded what?
battle plan.
Battle.
Sure, Luke had the Force, Leia had diplomacy, and Han had his charm. But Cassian had pivot tables. Cassian Andor's journey began in the Outer Rim, where he was originally a smuggler specialized in the highly illegal trade of anthanol, while the rest of the galaxy fought over kyber crystals and lightsabers. Cassian was busy cornering the market on lactose intolerance.
Oh my.
Life changed. He discovered one thing more powerful than Banff. Rebel Alliance's dire need for someone who can organize their chaotic operation.
Wait. What did you type into ChatGPT?
I said, write me a 500-word article about Cassian Andor and add funny clips and stuff. I told it to make it funny, but I didn't think it would go this far.
Alrighty then.
In a galaxy where holograms are the norm, Cassian stuck out by showing up with a stack of printed spreadsheets. It was a bold move considering the entire Imperial fleet was being run on Windows 95.
Oh my.
The Senate had to keep the rebels organized. Cassian quickly climbed the rank, becoming known as Captain Clipboard, a title though less than glamorous than Jedi Knight, with an impressive array of stationery.
This is like those stupid things you'd see or whatever, where it's like in the superhero universe, it's like, oh, the real hero, the one who keeps them organized, like, Steve over here, he's the real hero.
Oh gosh.
Jeez.
Now, when the plans for the Death Star were first discovered, the rebel leaders were in disarray. How do we get this into a PowerPoint?
Oh, that's funny.
Cassian, ever the programmist, stepped in to make a more sophisticated plan. He suggested that they form a Rogue One task force, not because it sounded cool, but because it looked great in the team's quarterly progress report. Of course, the mission wasn't just about spreadsheets and logistics. Cassian also had to deal with the usual rebel stuff: blaster fights, espionage, and the occasional moral dilemma. But everyone knew the real drama was the data entry. Would they finish inputting the Imperial encryption code in time? Would they break into the Death Star's firewall using nothing but a recycled password from Darth Vader's MySpace?
From his what?
Darth Vader's MySpace accounts? The tension was palpable. Let's not forget Cassian's greatest contribution to the rebel cause: his unparalleled ability to format documents. While other rebels were out fighting stormtroopers, Cassian was perfecting his use of conditional formatting to highlight critical information. The moment he introduced the Death Star tab in the Rebel Alliance's central database, morale soared. Who knew that using the right font size would have such an impact on galactic warfare?
Wow.
But Cassian didn't stop there. In one of the film's most dramatic moments, he saved the entire Rogue One team by introducing a macro that automatically filtered out any cells containing the words explode or disintegrate. This simple yet effective action likely saved thousands of rebel lives and ensured the Death Star plans were free of any catastrophic formatting errors.
Fine.
Sadly, Cassian's story comes to a tragic end on the beaches of Scarif, but his legacy lives on in the countless templates, macros, and Excel shortcuts he left behind. Rumor has it that his final words were, "Make sure you save it as a PDF." A poetic reminder of the importance of document security. Today, the Rebel Alliance still honors Cassian Andor not just as a hero, but as the one who brought order to their chaotic fight. His work has become a part of Rebel folklore, with young recruits whispering tales of the great Captain Clipboard and his battle against the galactic Excel sheets of doom. In a galaxy far, far away, Cassian Andor remains the undisputed king of organization, proving once and for all that even the minutest empires can be defeated. Even the mightiest empires can be defeated using the right formulas. Wow.
Well, David, how accurate was that? Pretty on point. I mean, it's what I remember watching.
That's what we need to see. Captain
Ladies and
Clipboard,
gentlemen.
a Star Wars story.
Ladies and gentlemen, ChatGPT.
Oh boy!
Boy,
Oh,
yeah. Okay. Uh, I have no idea where they got any of that from. But they legitimately like wrote their own story. I don't know.
that's how no words for this. So, if not sure let me. If it will, I'm going to post this article in the description on YouTube for this episode. So, if you want to read it for yourself, I guess.
Oh my. That is definitely interesting. What next, David? What do we have next?
I don't even know where we go from here. I mean, that's just.
I don't know.
I
I don't
mean,
know.
That
I
summed
do
up.
think. Yeah, I think that summed up the episode. Honestly, but yeah, I did have the thought. I did have the thought. It honestly makes sense why the rebels failed when trying to make the New Republic. Cassian wasn't there to organize their system.
I mean, honestly, yeah.
That's why they failed. The First
All
Order
makes
would
sense
not
now.
have been a problem. Yeah, the First Order not have been a
All
problem
makes
if
sense
they
now. Proper formatting in their Excel spreadsheets.
they forgot to download as a PDF. Sorry,
Yep.
save as a PDF. Well, what else you got, David? What else do you got?
I did find on StarWars.com there is an article about Cassian Andor, but I think it's pretty much going to be the same as what's on Wikipedia. Because it goes through his it's kind of more biographical information.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, which I mean, I feel like we kind of went through most of his story. You know, I mean, we've talked about on the channel. We've talked about Rogue One. We've talked about Andor. When Andor season 2 comes out, we're gonna talk about that. I feel like for the most part, like the character of Andor has been covered reasonably well in this channel. I don't know what else there really is to talk about within his character.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely. I don't know. It's not a whole lot because he is a Disney original character. There's not really a whole lot to know because. Okay, what I like about some of the episodes we've done doing this is seeing the Legend side. 'Cause as much as I like a lot of Legend stuff, I don't know a whole lot of Legend stuff. So it's interesting seeing that. Because I think most of the characters we've talked about are from the Lucas era of canon, or from Legend, just Legends in general. So every character we've talked about thus far has had a stuff that isn't canon in their story.
Yeah. Well, okay. So like, I've been posting a lot of. I've been trying to grow our TikTok base recently, and I'll post clips from our podcast on there. And sometimes I get comments of people like, we'll ask questions on the podcast or whatever. We'll talk about something, and then like they'll be like, oh, this, that, the other thing. They'll give an answer or something along those lines. Sometimes people have been in the past more rude about it and been like, wow, you call yourself Star Wars fans, you don't know this. And it's like, well, here's the deal. We love Star Wars. We take in the content. We don't know everything about it. That's part of the reason why I feel like you and I are doing this, is so that we have
There's
somewhat
not
of an excuse as to
okay.
why we're doing a lot of this. There's a lot to
I
Star
don't.
Wars, and
I don't care how big of a Star Wars fan you are. you do not know everything about Legends. I am sorry to break it to you. There's too much in Legends to know everything. You might know everything canon, but there's too much in Legends to know everything.
Yeah, and I mean, like that's the thing is like there's just so much to Star Wars. The joy of a lot of what we do is that we're just learning as we go. And I don't know, I don't see a problem with that. We sit here, we talk about it. We're gonna get things wrong. You might know better than us, but go make your own videos about it if you want to do that. So we're just here to talk about it and have fun with it all, and like you said,
Now,
part of the joy of it is learning about some of the
mhm,
characters, whether it be legend side to it or just more about the character that we don't know about from canon.
mhm. Now, I will say there are certain points where, like, one else has said something. The example I can think of is when we were talking about Bad Batch season 3. Going through that,
Uh-huh.
I mentioned something about, you know, do we know, if Omega is actually a clone of Jango Fett? And someone commented that they said that in season 1, which I still have not gone back to fact check. But if I got that wrong, it's on me. But I'll own up to it with canon stuff. But with Legends, there's so much there, you can't expect us to know everything.
Yeah, and I mean, we're trying to fact check as much as we can to make sure that we're getting things right. And if we don't know something, we'll make sure to say something about that. But we're just here to have fun and talk about Star Wars and kind of learn along the way. So you know,
But
don't
then
hate on
again,
us
it
too
is
much.
it is the internet. You can say pretty much anything, and someone is bound to disagree with you. So
Oh yeah,
I don't take it too personally.
100%. He's got to be emphatic about what we say and think, and occasionally we need to actually think.
Mhm.
We do more of the latter, the former than the latter.
Yeah, yeah. So on a odd side note,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, I don't know. This is one thing that I thought of talking to you about specifically, but not something that I don't want to talk about on podcast. I'll bring up. But so I stumbled across a short. Let me pull this up. So about I don't know, about a year ago now, I stumbled upon another Star podcast. It's still pretty small. I think they're a little bit bigger than us now. They've got like 2,500 subscribers on YouTube or something. But so I know I shouldn't talk to you about them, but Beyond the Sea.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, it's kind of interesting because they are very similar to you and I. Like one of the shorts that they posted was a skit. Apparently, they're talking about uh from movies now, other than Star Wars, which we've done that of course too. And what they were talking about is what the perfect movie was basically, and basically one of them said Raiders, and the other one said The Fellowship. And I was thinking that is almost like I don't know if you would necessarily go said Raiders, but interesting too because like I know you're a big like I know you like Lord of the Rings too, but you're a big Indiana Jones fan too, big Star Wars fan, so you might not necessarily say Lord of the Rings like I would.
Yeah.
But it's kind of interesting seeing that how similar they are to us. I've listened to some of their
Yeah.
stuff, and honestly, they kind of are.
I haven't listened to too much. I've watched more of their shorts just to check them out.
Mm.
I do feel like, and I'm not entirely sure. We look at them and we're like, hey, we started around the same time. Why are they experiencing so much more growth? I think they had somewhat of a platform beforehand. I'm not saying that they did, but it kind of looks like from what I've seen, like Instagram wise, I've seen some stuff from them, and I
I
think they
think
have more of a.
one or both of them already had kind of a established following on Instagram, so that must be part of it.
I
I'm
saw,
not
I
sure,
saw, I
but
saw
also
something with,
I will say
I
that
saw some.
just because they're obviously a little bit better than ours, because so they can record in
Yeah.
person. So that's
Yeah,
kind
I
of
mean,
hurt
there's
our
obviously
quality.
other factors with it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, David, we could make the drive. We just gotta figure out a
The
place.
problem is the set. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
that's in the works. Further down the line, we'll get something set back up. For now, you're just gonna have to deal with us being remote. But
yeah.
we've tried to make quality as good as we can for now. So our next thing will probably be updating our mics. Because we've done more, we've done better on video. And we've eliminated the internet problem. But I feel like mics are probably our next thing to upgrade. But we're working on that.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's a work in progress. For those who do listen to the entire podcast and aren't related to us, I mean, we appreciate the ones that are related to us, but specifically the ones that aren't related to us, we appreciate you stumbling across our channel and deciding to stick with us. Our family's kind of stuck with us. Now, no one's twisting their arm to make them listen to the podcast, but I feel like sometimes they feel like they have an obligation to. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But
I mean,
you,
it has been kind of
have no obligation.
it has been kind of encouraging. It has been kind of encouraging to see some people, commenting or whatever, leaving comments talking about how they have stumbled upon us more recently.
Yeah.
You don't know us personally, and you've stumbled upon this episode. You've gotten this far. Let us know in the comments down below. Let us know what you like. Let us know what we can change. Yeah.
We're working on this thing. I mean, we've been working on YouTube for the past couple of years now, but we don't know much about it. We're just kind of, and YouTube's constantly changing. That's the thing about it now. It's so hard. YouTube, and then obviously we have podcasts on other sites as well. I don't know if they're doing as well, but specifically like the YouTube channel, social media is really a hard market to be on right now. So we're kind of just doing our thing and having fun along the way. So you know.
Mm. Yeah. I feel like we don't really have anything else to talk about, but we've already been recording for like an hour and 15 minutes, and that's about our mark for how long we try to get these episodes to. That's another thing too. If you listen for the first time, if you like longer episodes, let us know. If you want shorter episodes, no. I feel like with how long-winded we are, most of the time we're gonna get over an hour. But let us know what you think.
Yep. So well, with that, David, if you don't have anything else to add, let's go ahead and get on out of here.
All right, go ahead and head us out, Wilson.
We're good now. Well, with that, thank you for sticking around and watching this whole entire episode, for those of you who did. And be sure to join us next week. We will be talking about a new Star Wars topic. I think it's Clone Wars Season 1, I believe.
Yes.
Okay, so we're talking about Clone Wars Season 1. So if you're interested to see us talk about Clone Wars Season 1, come back next week. Every single Monday, we put out new episodes, so come check us out. Subscribe to the channel if you want to have us in your notification feed, and leave a comment down below telling us what we can do better, and what you liked about the episode, and what you learned about the episode. Also, leave a like. With that, we'll see you next time on X-Wing Radio.